Alright, so, hello, it is Carson. I have chat with me right now. We are in the stream, and we are going to finalize the Run 3 results with the new subclasses. So big thank you to you guys watching, but also a big thank you to you, chat. You look at Nadira. Nadira over here. We've got Wyvern, or Wyvermere. Got Hairdrits. We got a bunch of people in here. So, and then more of you guys I'm going to pour in because this is the beginning of the stream. But I'm going to dive right into it. What I've learned with the last couple ratings videos is we'll just kind of get it short and sweet to the point. But I have the same kind of bulletin points I want to go over. This is the third run of 3 because we've now tested all the new subclasses. This was the last one where we run only the subclasses with no multi-classing. We had to run a mod because if you haven't been paying attention with the patch 8 stress test, there is a mod where I cannot get extra attack on any warlock. So we had to use a mod where every class gets extra attack, which means we avoided using extra attack on a rogue, which wouldn't normally get it. And then otherwise, we weren't really trying to get story or challenge, just trying to get a sense of how good these subclasses are, and then I'm going to rate them. So if we needed to respec, that's cool. If we found any bugs, I'll report them. But otherwise, just have fun and obviously test photo mode. So let's test photo mode right here. The boys. Hey, they are. Bam. All right. So... keep in mind, you may see things here, and I rated things here based on a work in progress, because this is the stress test, the sort of beta, so things were subject to change. Oh, and by the way, since we were on honor mode, we lost. We lost because Isabel, we threw her, and the hag in Act 3 just seems to have Isabel resistance, so she survived with 1 HP. Isabel let us down in the final moments, and we lost the fight, but that's okay. We just kept going. That's not what the run was really about, but we did play on the honor difficulty. So the goal of these runs, and now that we're on the last one, is let's see how the subclasses in their own class perform on honor mode, how they level, or how I feel that they scale pretty well. Do I feel like what I've played could be versatile in its own class, let alone multi-classing? Do you think there's potential there? And additional notes, like was there a standout feature like the visuals, or what it felt like playing it, or did chat think even more highly of these, or do they think it sucks? Alright, so, and I have chat here, you guys can chime in, but what's up, Akko? What's up, guys? Alright, so the ratings, I know chat knows, but for anyone just catching on to our runs here, I don't really base anything off of external sites or other YouTube channels or whatnot, and I don't... Until recently, I wouldn't have time to check that stuff anyway. I've just been blessed by you guys giving me access, and so I played it in honor mode, and we had fun on stream, but now we are getting to the end of these runs. And I run on honor mode because it's the one difficulty I feel everybody should run the game on at least once and beat it, get your golden dice, but it's the most replayable game because things can go out of whack, and you have to make up for that, and that's why I'm rating it in honor mode, and why I like it so much, and I just think if I'm going to play the strongest stuff, or the weirdest stuff, or the most fun stuff, it's the best on honor mode, where even though this was a custom game, we lost it, you just keep going. So if you've ever never played honor mode and you want to try it, just play it until you lose and then just keep going anyway. That's what I did for this run. But I want to play it on that difficulty because there's way more cooler mechanics going on with bosses, the legendary actions, and just when you're trying to win honor mode, you have to, you know, overcome the consequences of your actions, right? And it could lead to some really cool replay value. Alright, so I try to run without exploits and glitches. I've been called out for using the fun glitch exploit last time against the Hellfire Watcher. Sometimes I like to use this stuff and have fun, but overall I'm trying to say, I try to, like, how do these work as intended, maybe not getting infinite shadow blades or flame blades or putting boxes in the doorways, but sometimes I like to have fun with you guys, so get over it. Alright, I'm not concerned with the bestest, the so-called ultimate bestest run or build or whatever. I'm just trying to see how these compare in a lot of different factors, and we'll go over it. So I'm definitely biased, but I try to play outside my habit zone and my comfort zone, because for those who don't know, I didn't like smiters, I didn't like paladins, and now we've been through like 3 different runs with smiters on it, and we've just been like, me and chat have just been like, more! Like, smiting is just... just watch the clips, I don't know. But anyway, Yeah, I can turn around my opinions on stuff after I've tried something and go, oh, I was wrong about that. That was actually fun. So letter ratings also, for those who don't know me, I think letter ratings are stupid. They're just here for fun, but A is the highest. There is no S tier. Chat thinks there's an S tiers, but I usually put a plus not because it's better, but because I feel there might be an X factor that makes something like we've never had before, or it's just that freaking good or crazy or fun or something, right? So let's see. Let's get the first one out of the way. We'll dive into these. Like I said, I'll be pretty short and to the point. I'll try. I'm going to answer these rather than, like, I'm going to highlight it and then answer it, okay? Alright, so. You should like Explorer mode because they force you not to multi-class. Yeah, well, I could just turn that on in the custom games. Alright. Don't distract me. But I am watching chat, so you let me know as I cover a subclass. I also want to see what you guys think. I'm going to relay it in the video here. But yeah, you could just click the no multi-classing ability right here. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I can always just play by my rules. Alright, Drunken Monk. For those who've been following along, maybe not just on my channel, maybe other people agree here. Right out of the gate, I just give you the rating. I'm not going to hide it from you. D for drunk. Jokes aside, this is a D rating because some issues. So, honor performance. If I told you we performed excellently in honor mode, I'm talking more about 12 levels of monk. I love playing monk. Flurry of blows is absolutely strong. Using a bonus action and one resource to just punch the crap out of things. Insanely good. If you've never played Cloud Giant Elixirs or Hill Giant Elixirs with a feature called Tavern Brawler, right? You really can't go wrong with a monk. Even a pure monk just punching things in honor mode. So this performed just great, but it was not great. The subclass itself just felt like it virtually brought nothing to the table, right? Everything else was just Tavern Brawler mixed with, you know, the Strength Elixir and using this Flurry of Blows. But man, are those animations awesome, right? So, we did have fun with this guy. I even used the Drunken Gear, even though a lot of this has nothing to do with playing a drunk monk and the subclass. Okay, so in performance, it really failed. Ironically, once we got to like level 10, we were using Drunkard's Luck, which, you know, changes disadvantage on like attack rolls and saving throws. You spend 2 key points and you get rid of that disadvantage. So like, ironically, 10 levels in, now we're doing something with a subclass, but that's just not really anything. We'll keep it short and sweet, but there's no... It feels really bad to use Intoxicating Strike to make things drunk, which effectively doesn't do anything for you. And then later on you get Life of the Party, so when you get things drunk, you get Armor Class with this feature, Life of the Party, but then you lose Armor Class even if you get attacked. Doesn't matter if they hit or miss, you just lose the armor class. And then you're expected to lose Life of the Party another way by trying to use a sobering realization to yet again spend key points, punch somebody, do psychic damage, but it just would never really cropped up like... And I tried. And the last of the things I tried was redirect attack, which... It sounds cool. You're going to dodge something and then that enemy is going to hit somebody else. But it just gives them the condition that sometimes they don't even bother and they just stand there, and it's like, so I basically spent a key point to dodge something I already dodged, because it says when a melee attack misses you, so they already missed me, but I can get them to attack somebody else. But sometimes that other person is my own teammate. So I just don't think the subclass performed anything significantly other than the visual enjoyment of it, right? This is awesome. Throwing up a beer in the sky is tons of fun. Hitting people in the face. Leveling, yet again, I think I just went over it pretty well. Level 4, you get or level 3, like when you get the subclass, you get Intoxicating Strike, but why would I use it? Drunken Technique is Flurry of Blows, which you already had on a monk, but it gives you a disengage and 10 foot of movement, and that's really good. But that's not why I would ever dive into a subclass. But okay, that's level 3. I think it was like level 4, not level 4, but a little bit later at like level, was it level 6? I get redirect? Yeah, I don't even remember because these weren't impactful, but you'll eventually get redirect attack around the mid game, like Act 2, level 6 or something. And then you get, you know, like I said, this wasn't all that functional, even though I tried throwing it out, even though it didn't cost me anything. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to die, whatever. And it just still didn't produce results, so maybe that's on me, but you probably known this by now if you've been watching the videos. Life of the Party is the biggest problem where, like, I don't even want to go for Intoxicating Strike. At level 7, you can now punch somebody, get them drunk with this. Now you get Life of the Party. Theoretically, you could stack a lot of armor class, and then nobody will hit you, but then I want them to miss me because if they miss me, I could redirect their attacks and then attack something else, but then I lose my stacks, but then, yeah, none of this mechanically is adding up, so it just felt bad. And I don't want to belabor the points I'm already making. So as I leveled up, I always got excited that maybe this is the level where something would happen. And ironically, that level was maybe level 10, where Drunkard's Luck is just simply, it works, right? If you have disadvantage on these things, you can reset the disadvantage. Okay, great. 10 levels. What the hell? Where are you going? Where he just... Oh, I thought he just sunk into the floor. That was we're doing it live. All right. The versatility. What versatility? Because again, if these mechanics don't really work, so both versatility and multi-classing, what more could I demonstrate to you guys running pure 12 levels of monk, and how could I possibly rearrange this if I don't... Maybe skill issue. But as most of you guys have been agreeing, there's just something wrong, bad feeling, and ultimately not very functional. So how could I have these? And so additional notes, amazing visuals. I can't say that enough. Punching somebody in the face with a beer. I'm just gonna, wham, right? Amazing, okay? I love that. But sadly, yeah, I think, oh, I've said this before, but since we'll record it, I think the tweaks you need for this is, instead of drunk being charisma and dexterity checks, which literally doesn't do anything in battle, if this was a saving throws. This is what everyone thought it was in the first place. I've even heard suggestion from you guys in chats and comments, it just needs to be disadvantage on attacking, because then you're helping the team. Right at level 3, there's some function to the Drunken Monk, right? Other than the really good features of Drunken Technique. So the visuals are fantastic, but if we could just change something, maybe right out the gate, Drunk does something else, something better, something actually useful, and then maybe life of the party is really the key to making the rest of this work. So at level 7, when you get life of the party, maybe you don't lose this unless you actually take damage, right? Just simple fixes, because all the functionality's there, they just need to tweak it. But I'm not the devs, and I don't have any other way than just record this and hand in my feedback and, you know, echo what you guys have been saying too. So we'll move on. Hexblade. Actually, also, I want to look at chat real quick. Pretty emoji. Enjoying the new emojis. Yes, enjoy the boomer emoji. No Mr. Nibble. Oh, we need a Mr. Nibbles. I knew I was going to ask you this. All right, we'll move on. So to be honest, Olio, to be honest, I don't really want to play Drunk Monk unless they make it more useful and not self-defeating. Self-defeating in the life of the party, I know what you mean by that. And more useful in that intoxicating strike is what I'm imagining you mean. So yeah, that's why it gets a D rating. And, you know, I'm kind of over it. I really hope they change it, and this is why there's a stress test, so I'll try and give them the feedback, but, you know, I'm just a nobody, I just play video games. Hexblade, the rating here, right here, this is the definitive blade lock, and I'm rating it A rating. Why not A+? I don't really want to get into all that. I think it verges on an A+. If you hear what I have to say, you could just interpret what I say as an A or an A+, but Hexblade is the definitive blade lock. You can already play a blade lock. What I'm talking about is getting Pact of the Blade. Now, as far as I know, even though I had to use a mod in honor mode, it's a known glitch at this point, I've reported it, we're not getting extra attack because it's a glitch. But you would normally still have to go Pact of the Blade at level 3, and then you get your extra attack at level 5. That's a normal thing for warlocks, no matter what subclass. You should choose that if you want your double weapon attacks at level 5, right? So with that out of the way, it's basically any other blade lock, but it's better. And why? Because at level 1 you get the ability to bind your weapon, and it actually has some really useful features like cursing the target, adding more proficiency damage, not just with your weapon, but like any kind of damage you specifically do, almost anything, which is crazy damage. We've thought of really crazy things like maybe Evocation Wizard with 1 or 2 levels of Hexblade, right? So you can see the versatility of that already. I know everybody wants to turn this, everybody thinks they now need 1 level of Hexblade, and I disagree to an extent, but even I want to use 1 or 2 levels of Hexblade to get the Charisma weapon and add it into my multi-class or whatnot, right? Because you're getting the bonus damage, especially on weapon swings. You're using now basically 1 stat for most of these multi-class ideas. So you can just be 1 stat dependent or 1 ability dependent. Sad. You're sad. But yeah, it also comes with, you know, the little features like more damage, the ability to crit a little bit easier, and of course your charisma weapon now. But also, please don't neglect, you can use medium armor right off the bat, which means it would only take 1 feat to get heavy armor, even just pure warlock or pure hexblade. And You already get weapon proficiency, so if you wanted to use a bow or whatnot, please, I don't know why we can't bind a bow or have improved packed weapon invocation, but alright, I'm not here for that kind of commentary, but you can use bows. You have proficiency in like martial weapons, medium armor, and shields, so this is a big one, right? You can use shields and be proficient just as a warlock. So that is the definitive like battle mode, get in there, blade lock. So that's why it has a high rating, and so it performed just running my two-hander, great weapon master, warlock, right? I have the awesome ability to use a ranged cantrip and eldritch blast. Even if I don't focus on it, this is very strong. And guess what? It uses charisma, right? We have the new booming blade, which is excellent here. You get it at level 1. You get to play the whole game sort of kind of like smiting. That's the fun of booming blade. It kind of cantrip smite almost. You know, it's been nerfed down in an update where it's once per turn, but it's great here. We used great weapon master, did tons of damage. Look at this, right? Then there's the fact that as I played through the subclass, right? I mean, I already played blade lock. Warlock's my favorite class. This is going to be probably my favorite warlock subclass. But as I played through it, right, it was A-okay. I had all the things I needed from level 1, that as I was getting my feats, I could get like great weapon master, I could get the 2 charisma, because I'm basically only ever focused in one stat or one ability, right? And then eventually you get like the 3 warlock spell slots. And if you don't understand the class, I gotta say, one of my favorite standout features about playing warlock, and it's even better here with Hexblade, is having the warlock spell slots come back on short rest, and they get more and more powerful, and your stuff is automatically upcasting, right? So like this is now upcasted to level 5. That's a lot of damage on Cloud of Daggers. So if you ever wanted to play a Spellblade, maybe you played Eldritch Knight, like I think if you went into this game playing Eldritch Knight, this is the class you were really looking for, because had this been in the game when I first played, this was what I was looking for. I wanted to shoot Eldritch Blast, I wanted to use Booming Blade, and I wanted to smack things with a greatsword, and I wanted to wear medium or heavy armor, and I wanted to be a magical knight. And you can really get that with this, especially because there's even more flavor and some extra spicy visuals with the Hexblade, and it was all here, right? I could be a spellcaster, Gish, whatever they call it, Spellblade, right? And there's some really cool tricks with the Hexblade, because you start getting things like at level 6, a Curse Spectre, and eventually Armor of Hexes, which has actually saved my butt sometimes there too. And then based on how you build it with the gear and the spell slot, or the feats and whatnot, right? So in terms of leveling, let's go over that, right? Right off the bat, like I said, you're front loaded pretty well. You get your curse. You can actually cast the curse once per short rest manually. So whether you hit them with a weapon or not, you're going to always have this if you really want to, you know, throw it out there, like maybe for a boss fight or a really important enemy. But as you bind your weapon, you're now proficient with it, and it's now going to work off charisma, and it will just eventually randomly apply the Hexblade curse, and that gives you bonus damage and crit potential and all that, right? So like fantastic right at level 1. And we were using Booming Blade at level 1, Eldritch Blast at the level 1. I was good, I was strong close, and I was strong at ranged. Then later on, you eventually get, what is it? Oh, you get your extra attack at level 5, if you've ever played like a Martial or Spellblade, Eldritch Knight or Blade Lock or whatnot, right? And then your spells are getting more powerful. So this means like at level 2, you're getting stuff like Hold Person. You have like these new smite moves that Hexblade brings to the table. But you have standard like, you know, great stuff in Warlock. So it's complementing that base Warlock really well, and it's giving you what you want. I want to be better and better at being a Blade Warlock, and I want special things as a Blade Warlock. So as I level up, I'm unlocking cool smite moves that I didn't have on other subclasses. Banishing Smite's like stupid strong, right? But I still have great options from the Warlock class itself, or even like the Elemental. But now I didn't really play with it much, but you can like use Elemental Weapon, right? So those are great options you could be running. And then at level 6, you get something really cool, and I don't know if this is bugged. I don't know if you're supposed to just get one at a time, or once per long rest, or once per short rest, but if you kill somebody with the Hexed Curse, or if anybody kills it, as long as you have a reaction on the kill, you can spend your reaction, and that Hex target that dies will heal you. It's just a normal thing that happens, but you can also turn them into a Spectre, and this could be attacking your foes. And I gotta say, just like the Shadow Dog we tested with the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, like, you really need to plan this out ahead of time, and we gotta see once the patch is fully out and confirm, like, that's not a bug or whatever, but this has some serious damage potential on top of the fact that, you know, you're cursing things and hitting it with your blade. So at level 6, this was a really cool feature. I can't say that I found a lot of benefit to it, but when there was a lot of targets and you killed them and all these specters started popping up, it's really something I ain't seen before in this game, and it was fun. And when they hit hard, because it's based off your charisma. You get some bonus damage from their attacks, and they heal you, and they're just cool. But it's dependent on big and small targets. If it's a bigger target, they potentially become more dangerous specters. And I think our first specter was a bird. It's just weird. We're just turning like big things into a specter is funny as hell. But yeah, this is cool and has a lot of potential, so I'm interested in that. And then finally, later on, like I said, you're getting stronger like banishes. You're getting those powerful like hold monsters, slow. But your unique stuff is really cool, like the banishes or whatnot. Your cantrip has evolved into a 2d8. Your Eldritch Blast is naturally strong, and you just feel like an awesome Spellblade. And once again, your Hex is doing something else. If you attack, or if a target that has your curse attacks you, you can literally have a 50-50 shot to not get hit. So if there's a killer move about to swing in your way, you can actually take that, potentially just completely miss or negate that attack. And so that, I think, is this really, you're going to go into level 10 for this? I don't know, but it did work, and it was like kind of a lifesaver at certain instances. So yeah, leveling up was fun. I felt strong all the way. I don't think there was a point where I had to wait for a power spike, and that's really the whole point of bringing up the leveling. I think it was just consistently good, strong, and fun, and I felt right at level 1 like a blade, like the best kind of blade warlock I could play as. All right, so versatility, absolutely. I didn't have to play with medium armor. I just like that there's options there. I could have went with a shield and a one-hander. That's definitely viable. I kind of wish you could, since this is the Hexblade, I wish we could go with a Hex bow, but you can't. Even Hexblade and bind Hex weapon doesn't let you use range weapons. But overall, yeah, like there's a lot of options here. Funny enough, because you come with martial proficiencies, you could play with dex weapons, strength weapons. You actually don't have to bind your weapon to play as a warlock. So I know that would be weird, but I like knowing that I could have that potential. But obviously the optimal way is kind of keep everything in charisma and scale that up. And then you obviously have good options for the helmet with birthright and your medium armor, or even we could have went with the potent robes, for instance, and just made our cantrip stupidly strong. I have tons of ideas just from warlock alone with Hexblade is very strong. And like I said, it's just clearly the definitive. So anything you could do with a Blade Warlock already is only going to be stronger here, plus more options. I could have focused in more on smiting, could have focused in more on cantrips, could have focused in more on other things. So the versatility's there. But yeah, especially if you just wanted to be oh, by the way, if you just wanted to be an Eldritch Blaster, you can now have the option of just having more armor class with the medium armor and the shields and whatnot, and just have fun Eldritch Blasting, because you have a stronger Eldritch Blast thanks to Hexblade's curse too. Okay, so multi-classing, oh my gosh, do we really need to talk about this? Look, it gives you your level 1 dip into this subclass, gives you a lot of stuff. I made a video about it. I argue that the curse is the real reason you want, or the total package is why you really want to go multi-classing with this, because you're not just getting a charisma weapon, you're getting the Hexblade curse, 2 different ways to use it on short rest or just randomly hitting things. The crit potential from that, the bonus damage applies not just to weapon swings, but things like Magic Missile and Eldritch Blast. Evocation Wizard would love a dip in this thing, and I heard it was stupid in tabletop. It's probably stupid here. We've tested it. It's strong. Everybody wants to run a Swashbuckler, 1 level of Hexblade at least, because then they have a charisma weapon on their Swashbuckler. Their modifier turns to charisma. If these things make sense to you, then you clearly already understand the power of multiclassing. Everybody wants to turn this into a Swords Bard or a Paladin. Like, all of those options are viable. But even cooler stuff like a Hexblade Blade Singer is going to be fun because of this. And just wacky stuff like that I like is just maybe your Arcane Trickster is going to be fun with this, right? So absolutely up there, crazy potential. And then additional notes, I love Blade Warlocks. I love Warlock the class. I've played it every different way, a caster, an Eldritch Blaster, a Blade Warlock. This is my favorite thing is Spellblades, and my favorite class is Warlocks, and this is probably one of my new, if not my favorite subclass. So, alright. Anything from chat over here? Skills cancel themselves out. Redirect attack. Oh, you're talking about the monk again. Yeah. The specters are like bloodlust elixir. If the fight is going well, they pop off probably. They are crazy, and you know what's funny is the prerogative, since it's based on reactions, these can pop out more. Like I said, I'll have to make a dedicated video just like the Shadow Dog, but there's more to play with here. There's some really cool potential. So I've been saying, like, maybe not go level 1 dip into this subclass. Maybe it's actually got some really cool potential at level 6, because you get your extra attack from Pact of the Blade, and now you have this cool thing. And I want to play a Necromancer. I want to see if I can make something out of this. We definitely got to try it in a run. Alright. If you dual wield, how does binding weapons work? You only get the bind hex weapon. You don't get both pact weapon and bind hex weapon. Bind hex weapon is bind pact weapon. It's just now morphed into the more potent form of hex weapon. So you can only bind one weapon at a time. And I did see in the comments, I forget who was saying it, they were demonstrating, or they were explaining how if you dual wield, apparently, like the Infernal Rapier is a charisma weapon, or like a spell modifier weapon. So apparently this, while dual wielding a weapon that uses your spell modifier, in this case it would be charisma, apparently he was getting the random hex application and damage was applying even on the offhand, even though only one of the two was a hex weapon. So that's really interesting. So there's, again, mysteries that I want to solve, like Accursed Specters and this, and like we obviously testing to figure out what's the actual randomness of getting the Hexblade curse. So yeah, I don't have much more to say other than, yeah, it's absolutely, there's a reason you should be excited about Hexblade. If you wanted to play a Warlock, I personally recommend playing this if you haven't played Warlock already. Let's go to Swashbuckler. Look at those eyes. What happened? Inigo, you need a drink. Crazy. Alright, so with Inigo, he was our Swashbuckler. We had to have the mustache, and I really wish there was more of a buckler shield, but let's dive into this. This is an A rating right off the bat, and it's not hard. This is not hard to explain Swashbuckler, right? So how is the performance? Personally, I think Rogue, like I told you about Monk, is a great class in and of itself, right? And I say that Rogue is probably the most subtle class when it comes to why it's so good, even 12 levels. It may not be considered the strongest outright in damage because, okay, maybe your sneak attack, okay? But the fact that you get expertise really brings a lot to the table. There's a lot you could do with that. And this is going to play into Swashbuckler because Swashbuckler gives you really good reason to go into Charisma. Like we said, there's the potential with Hexblade mixing with this, but before we do that, it performed excellently in Honor mode because of the small, like, initial things it just brings. It's such a front-loaded subclass, right? But throughout Honor mode, I can't, like, I had to show the clip with Merkel, just a little flick of the wrist, and, like, chat must have just been, like, every single time he uses this move, he says that stupid line. I'm like, a little flick of the wrist, and I had so much fun with it. And if you don't, like, just like Monk, the visuals are on point, in fantastic animations. You feel the subclass while you're playing it, but then mechanically the subclass is there, and it's all thanks to these dirty tricks, right? But also the subtle features that, go figure, Rogue with subtle features that make a big impact. Rakish making, like, I swear, even by the rules here, like, oh, as long as the target is not within 7 feet of another enemy, you can get sneak attack. I swear things were right next to each other, and I didn't have any of my allies next to them, and I was getting sneak attacks all the time. Now, the opposite was a little true, too. Sometimes I was like, aren't they just standing out there? I don't have disadvantage, but anyway, the point is, if you've never played Rogue and you were like, oh, I don't like sneak attack or whatnot, just pick up Swashbuckler. You're gonna love Rogue. I tell people all the time, like, play Arcane Trickster, because it's actually very easy to pull off sneak attacks and the cantrips and the spell casting. Well, you're going to get almost the same feeling with this subclass, but you'll definitely get its own unique style, right? Even before subclassing or multiclassing, right? I think a lot of what people said they liked is it felt like I almost always had 2 attacks thanks to Flick of the Wrist, and you get this at level 4, not level 5, right? So, like, Flick of the Wrist almost always in a lot of fights, even though you have to disarm something, so it doesn't work if they don't have something to disarm. But most targets are like Arnson here. He's got a weapon, so you feel like you get 2 attacks between this, and all these 2 can trigger sneak attacks. So even if I go for a blind, I'm getting really good damage from my sneak attack. Then I have my normal attack, 2 chances to sneak attack per turn. Like, if that was your problem, like, I had so much fun in Honor mode playing Rogue because I knew I would. But I had it fun, almost like I wasn't playing Rogue. Like I was just playing a different kind of fighter. It was really great, to the point, very great, very fun, and it was strong. I won't say it was the strongest on the team, but it was strong in its utility. And then, of course, outside of combat, the expertise and the talking skills. And because you're investing in charisma for these dirty tricks, you're going to really want to invest into, say, deception or performance. And by the way, I keep hyping this thing up. Harmonic Dueler is crazy on a Swashbuckler. I 100% recommend it. This thing was definitely the right way to go. We went medium armor, which was awesome. You get 4 feats on a pure rogue anyway, so it's not like it's very, very costly. And if your problem with rogues is they don't get good armor, then just spend the feat, bite the bullet. You can get 1 dexterity, bring yourself up to 17 to 18 dexterity, now have medium armor, and these exotic material medium armors are insane if you're going for a dexterity character, or just, you know, your dexterity is decently high anyway. So I went with dex and charisma and just had an easy old time, a great time, tons of utility, tons of fun, tons of flair, and that's what the subclass was advertising, in my opinion, and I got what I came for, right? So as we leveled up, this is going to be even simpler. Other than the rogue levels, and you're getting stronger every odd level for sneak attack damage. Other than that, though, it's basically level 4. Level 3, you do to get a little more initiative, right? And that's why I had high initiative with the dexterity and the +2 you get from the subclass. And that's all great and dandy, but this is the subclass right here. That's why I made a video about dirty tricks, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's very front loaded, but then that means, yeah, go throw it into a bunch of multi-classes, or go have fun different ways of running a pure level 12 Swashbuckler. Who cares? Because at level 9 you do get panache, and I think there's potential here, but why is it level 9? Why not like level 7, you know? But this is a cool move too. So really you get all the fun stuff you're really probably going to be using, plus the rakish at level 3. Maybe you could argue there's a good multi-class just going 3 levels for rakish, but whatever. If you're going for sneak attack, just go all in on rogue, in my opinion. But yeah, this is the moves you want to be using. I can't wait to play Yapomancer from Nadir's suggestion, but we'll do that eventually. But yeah, otherwise, Panache is your level 9 ability. You can charm targets outside of combat. In combat, I think it's only humanoids this works on, but in combat, this effectively makes targets focus in on you, similar to, say, what is it? What's the duel move? Compelled to duel or something like that. Similar to that. When everybody has disadvantage on everybody but you, anyone else but you, they tend to go after you, and that makes sense because you're like a eccentric swords person. So you have your flamboyant sword fighting kind of style, and you're drawing in attention. That really fits the character, and that could be used with, say, Crown Paladin, which is drawing in attention with compelled to duel, and the whatchamacallit, what is it? Their new like bonus action where Champions Challenge. So like when you run out of those resources, you could still panache for free because it's just an action. So you could still always draw things in. So that might be a cool multi-class. And so the versatility is there. I think we just talked about it. Like I said, the leveling is really straightforward, so the versatility, you can see my ideas already. So when I think of multi-classing, maybe Crown Paladin. I know a lot of people like the idea of Swords Bard and Swashbuckler. It's a natural fit for the theme anyway, right? I think Battle Master is a cool idea. I did a video showing some other cool ideas. There's definitely, because of this level 4 is front loaded, there's going to be tons of cool ideas. And remember, as a rogue, you're going to get all these cool bonus actions, these new cool bonus actions from Swashbuckler, an easier sneak attack, and you're going to get expertise on maybe stealing things, stealth, or, charisma or whatnot. So, absolutely highly rated. I'm fighting myself on this one too. Like, is this A+? You guys think it is, right? Any additional notes? Anybody? You could do something like, yeah, if you had 1 level in a charisma class, you could go Infernal Rapier, or you could go with the Sylvan Scimitar like you guys are talking about. Chihira's Sword. If you level in a Hex or Cleric Fighter, yeah. Or are we talking about the last one? I don't know. But yeah, like, everybody watching, as I took count of, like, in chat, everyone was saying, like, dude, you were right about Swashbuckler. I was like, I don't need to be right about it. I was just hoping it would work out. So the devs just delivered, and I think this is probably one of the... Okay, just like Swarmkeeper, this would be my argument for an A+. Just like Swarmkeeper, there's so many ideas here. it does technically bring some new stuff to the table, and it's so easy. It's so easy to just put this into a multi-class or a build idea, because Swarmkeeper just works. Even if you don't want to invest in wisdom, this also just works. Technically, you get a free attack on a rogue, and everybody loves that, right? So there's a dumb way to do it, nothing wrong with that, and there's a smart way of doing it, which I loved how good Blind was for investing in decks, and I loved Flick of the Wrist, and how funny it is to disarm a literal god of death. So, and we're gonna play Cantrip Focus. I don't know, this is really good. Definitely an A rating. All right, ready? The last one, and it's our dirge. Nice hat. Everybody loved this. This should almost be the A+ because it's a crowd pleaser. Holy moly, everybody just loves Path of Giants. It's really dumb right now. There's a visual glitch. We are actually using the elixir of the Colossus. So if I were to enrage, I'd be like doubly big right now. It's insanely huge. We called him Dirgezilla. We named the run after him. Everyone thought this was going to be the most fun, and it kind of really was, right? So Dirgezilla here, if you're a barbarian, honestly, barbarian's an excellent class to just play 12 levels as well. Go figure. Okay, what else is new, Garson? That's all you ever say. Sure, but the performance from Giant, right, did add something to the class. Not only like new and visual and whatnot, but Cleaver is disgusting, even in by honor mode's difficulty standards, which isn't too crazy if you know what you're doing in honor mode, but like Cleaver put it on another level, and we didn't even multi-class. I can't stress this enough. So when we talk about leveling, I go over this again, but the fact that we could take a salami, we're doing this. Where is the stupid salami? We could take a salami, literally anything you can equip, and light it on fire or cold or acid or whatever, and then chuck it. And once again, you know, for those who've played a throwing build, this is the new standard pretty much, because tossing this out, even a salami with Tavern Brawler, this can turn any weapon into anything, really, not just a weapon, but even a salami becomes extremely deadly, even by honor mode standards. And when we didn't enrage, it was like, okay, when you enrage, you already get a benefit, right? But when you go enrage at level 6 and get Elemental Cleaver, right? Like, you could turn something even like Salami and Tavern Brawler into like the most deadliest freaking weapon. So when we didn't enrage, you could feel, oh man, I wish we enraged for this fight. I wish we'd stop being conservative and just, I don't care if we long rest and get all of our charges back, because next fight, we're just gonna throw our Salami, and whenever he did that, he was the biggest force, no pun intended, the biggest force on the table, just destroying anything, right? And this guy did not have armor class for like half the game. That's the cool thing about enraging, but the offensive power of the subclass is easily identifiable and has some crazy performance in honor mode. So I just highly recommend it right off that bat. There's just fun stuff like the kick. This is actually pretty strong. And we were doubting Mighty Impel. You're like, okay, so what? You can throw things with bonus action. You can throw things you wouldn't normally be able to throw with your throw ability here, right? You could actually, whatever this, say you couldn't throw something because it's just a little too big. Mighty Impel, there were things I could not throw, but when I got Mighty Impel later on, this could actually throw them. And I was like, what? That's amazing. So we could kick them instead of shoving them. We could kick them at, which does like unarmed damage. So our gloves apply to that. But like kicking and like doing damage and shoving is already a cool thing. The Mighty Impel, you could throw things you wouldn't normally be able to. And then, yeah, the biggest highlight is Cleaver. And all of that added up to some pretty big, yeah, pun intended, pretty big performance. So, like, Barbarian aside, if that was all my class was just like enrage and you get all the features of the giant and then nothing else about Barbarian, I wonder if it was good on its own. That's how freaking crazy it was. It wasn't just complimenting Barbarian, it was overwhelming. So the leveling was pretty easy. I would say it does have to kind of get to that level 6 feature, but when I thought about it, when you enrage, you do become larger, which is harder to shove, push, be prone, dangerous situations like being thrown off the boat in the early game, right? That fight. We had no problem with that fight because I was the one pushing and shoving people. So that does have a defensive value for becoming larger when you rage. Of course, if you rage, you get your defensive bonuses, your resistances, and then when I was thinking about it, when you throw things when you're a giant, you actually get the rage bonus twice. So even a dagger or salami would get 4 extra damage just for throwing it, which is actually really powerful. And that level 3 feature of getting double rage plays into cleaver, so it's that subtle feature is actually going to make the level 6 even better than it looks already, right? So once you get to level 5, you get the boot of the giants. Like I said, shoving and doing damage is very good, right? Then we have the elemental cleaver at level 6, right? By this point you have extra attack. You're gonna get 2 of these. And this is insane because it does not cost an action once you're enraged. You'd be like, oh, damn it, I used the wrong element. That's okay, because you can just keep swapping these on the fly. Or like with the silencing blade, we couldn't use thunder, so I just switched over to acid. So just weird things you weren't planning on anyway. You got you covered, bro. So elemental cleaver is just stupidly strong. And for those who weren't paying attention or weren't here for it, Tavern Brawler gets the effect added onto the elemental damage, and god, I hope that's not a glitch or a bug or anything. We've already had an update, nothing's changed on that, so I feel that was intended. And you get the enrage double bonus on that elemental damage too. So sadly you can't add elemental damage any other way to thrown weapons, but this will turn any weapon like a salami into a thrown weapon. It'll take those properties, you'll throw it, then it'll add the 1d6 of the element. Let's just pretend this was it, right? So you can't add much of anything else. There's few exceptions, like maybe the Helldust gloves, but even just this alone, adding the damage, right? So this would be 1d6 fire, but also Tavern Brawler on both the bludgeoning, then Tavern Brawler on the fire, then the double rage, 4 damage on the bludgeoning and 4 more fire damage. And then you could try and start stacking things with your gear, but you're already like stupidly strong at that. And we didn't go Tavern Brawler strength elixir. We had natural natty 22 strength on our barbarian, and we were just a force to be reckoned with. By level 6 onward, we were absolutely peak performance. Then you can get Mighty Impel, and I've said this is pretty cool too. Decent argument to go all that way, because Barbarian's a good class too with its initiative bonus and some others, right? Okay, so the versatility in the class, the versatility comes from the fact that at level 6 you have versatility by the fact that whether you stay Barbarian or multi-class, you can change your element. So everybody's like, we should do a frost giant. Everybody's like, we should do a Karlach fire giant. We should do an electric giant with the jabber and some other features, right? Before you even get into multi-classing. So you can already think of elemental builds, even though the best thing about that is you still wouldn't be locked into those elements. You would just be able to change on the fly when the situation arises it. And that is versatility, okay? Even though it's simple versatility, that's versatility. You may have to get to level 6 to get it, but it's worth it, right? And it's not as one note. I was arguing with myself, thinking about it when I was not streaming. Is this just Glamour Bard again, where it's strong at level 6 and nothing else? And I disagree. So that goes for leveling too. But the versatility is there, whether you're honing in on one element or you're being very, versatile. Then you take that to multi-classing, and again, I think the strongest place to multi-class is level 6 for cleaver, but like I said, you could probably go level 3 just for the big mode and the enrage benefits. You could probably go level 5 because you get your extra attack and boot of the giants. This does not require enraging. You could probably go level 10 and mix something else in there with the last 2 levels because of Mighty Impel, but everybody's gonna want elemental cleaver. Why hide it? But even with this, we've seen the swarm giant with the shocking damage of elemental electric, and the jellyfish. The jelly giant is insane. It's probably the new standard for the strongest thrower in the game, and I don't usually care about that, but it's just so obvious. You could do Karlach with like elemental cleaver and elemental monk for fire damage. She would be intense for that, right? There's like maybe ice sorcerer or something, like a really cool mix with one of those elemental sorcerers in this. Also, this is really helpful on a team with a shadow sorcerer focusing in on the dog's omen, right? So this is such an awesome teammate for that. Or you could go shadow sorcerer and be a giant, so your dog bites people and you get sorcery points back. I don't know, but that's kind of cool, right? So there's really cool multi-classing ideas there. And again, it just works. It's good. It's strong. But maybe it's level 6 for most of these ideas. Any additional notes? I don't know. Like I said, if I have to give one out of all of these the plus rating, it's this one, because you guys really convinced me. Like, think about it, bro. This was the most brute force team, and it was largely because this guy was just like, here's a salami, and just murdered things. Olio said S+. Oh, for Swashbuckler? Dude, I love that people are coming around or like just agree that Swashbuckler is crazy good. Add more rainbow to lightning jabber? Oh, yeah. Request a halfling in the next one? You can absolutely do halfling. I'm down for that. So those are the ratings. I think, like I said, try and keep it short and sweet. I don't know if anything else, if chat wants to say something. Apparently you guys like Swashbuckler. Everybody liked everything. It's sad that we all kind of agree on the D for drunk. And the good news is, I think, out of 12, by the way, we've done 12 subclasses, all the new subclasses. So if there aren't any too many significant changes, with really the only changes that I think really need to be addressed for the stress test, so they can just freaking patch out and people can play this stuff too. I don't want to be the only guy playing this stuff, man. I want to see you guys play it. So like, I think there's the stuff needed to, like we talked about, changing maybe the drunk condition and life of the party, and that would really, it's all there, just tweak it. So otherwise, like 10 out of 12 subclasses, now that we've done them, I've rated at A or A+, because I'm genuinely impressed with like how fun. And from what I understand, a lot of these subclasses come from D&D's like additional like expansion material, like Unearthed Arcana or Xanathar's Guide or whatever. And so like you can see that these new subclasses are more like thought out in the way that what they bring to the table, even for just like one or two, like Swashbuckler, just that level 4 and you're good. And that does actually change the way you would play this with Rakish and whatnot. So it's like, dude, there's a reason I'm like glazing these subclasses. I'm having fun in these runs, and we're not doing anything too complicated. Nadir, actually, I'm already thinking you could combine Jelly Swarm and Sorcerer in a way I'm not thinking. Really? Because I think the Jelly Sorcerer is going to be really fun to play. It's interesting. Trust me, we all want to play these. All right. So I won't belabor that, and I won't tease you guys about it. I'm not here to do that. But yeah, that is gonna do it for at least the video part of this. But I appreciate you guys if you're watching. As I always say, we'll scroll down here. How do you play and level these up? So we're literally live right now. This is the end of run number 3 of new subclasses, so check out the playlist. We had fun with all these new subclasses, even if some of them were a little iffy. We had fun with all the honor mode runs. Or just come back, be here next time. Maybe you'll be in a live video. But yeah, we play on honor mode because once this patch 8 is out, you guys have cooler ideas than I do. And so hopefully by seeing stuff here, you already know which ones you want to run in honor mode, because honor mode is the most fun. Even when it's frustrating, if you can just turn the tides and win anyway, it's the best feeling. So I like answering chat and comments. I even have chat here saying, you guys got to play this. We want to play this. So Layering, please get the patch out. If you're watching. You guys are my sponsors, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll leave it at that, and let's get back into the stream, right?